Shana Tova, can we ask everybody to find their seats? We're waiting on Rabbi Gorbin. And we have extended the incredibly important Torah principle of all times are approximate to Rosh Hashana. It used to only apply to Yom Kippur, but it applies to Rosh Hashana as well. And we really, really thank you for your patience as we've trying new things in this, at least my last year of being rabbi here at the High Holidays, which we'll talk about more on Yom Kippur, but not now, okay? Yeah, they're coming in. They're coming in. We're on page 110. Our service begins with the singing of Ma Tovu. Some of you know this from Minyan or from us regularly singing it. And we're doing just a couple of the verses of it. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it. Okay. You got it? Of course. Ellen, come. There she is. There she is.
Okay, Ellen's all set.
She wasn't there.
Please join us. We continue on page 112 with the blessing for the study of Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Turn to page 119. There's a Hasidic tradition that everyone should have 2 pockets. I, unfortunately, this morning only have 1. But in the right pocket should be a slip of paper or a piece of cloth that says, "For me the world was created." And in the left pocket should be another slip of paper or piece of cloth that says, "I am dust and ashes." And the idea for this is that there are 2 different parts of creation. One, the individual is the crown of creation. That would be the world was created for me. And the other is that humanity, we were just made out of dust and ashes. And that actually we should fall on some continuum between the 2 of them, not on one extreme or the other, so that we can reach into the proper pocket when needed. But we might also take this rabbi's words as a warning. Both statements caution us against equally dangerous attitudes. Both are indicators of an incomplete self and are laced with a narcissistic thread. And it's all about me. That would be, "For me, the world was created." Stance often reflects a sense of worthlessness. And instead of reaching into either pocket, instead of pampering one's ego or denying it, we are challenged to use the ego carefully. So take a few moments to think, what are other warnings that we should keep in our pockets during the season of tshuva?
Please turn to 120. The blessings for body and soul are on 120, 122. What is the blessing you need? I have a blessing for my body every day. The fact that it works when I'm 65 years old, inside and out, is nothing sort of extraordinary. But sometimes it is that soul that makes it all worth living the life that we have.
Asher yatzar et Adam bechokma, u'baravo nekavim nekavim, chalolim chalolim.
Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bihi tehorahi, ata berata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi, v'ata mishamra b'kibi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bihi tehorahi.
Page 122, nope, 23, 123. We join together. Precious above all is the soul within me, a spark of childhood innocence, curious, hopeful, loving, and good.
Whatever I've done, wherever I've gone wrong, however I've been hurt, I know its light still shines. May I return and reconnect with the part of me that belongs to you, my divine core, eternal, incorruptible.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher b'yado nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol basar ish. Page 129. We join together acknowledging the blessings that we have within us to share. We join together. Blessed are the works of your hands, O Holy One.
Blessed are the hands that have touched life. Blessed are hands that have nurtured a child. Blessed are hands that have embraced with love and friendship. Blessed are hands that have planted new seeds. Blessed are hands that have harvested ripe fields. Blessed are hands that have cleaned, washed, mopped, and scrubbed. Blessed are hands that have held pain. Blessed are hands that have become knotty with age. Blessed are hands that are wrinkled and scarred from doing justice. Blessed are hands that hold the promise of the future. Blessed are the works of your hands, O Holy One. Baruch atah Adonai gomer chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael.
Amen. Page 135, we sing Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, Kyriaouso, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Gurata, Hallelujah, Gurata, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Join us. It's not like you don't know it.
Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Tofu Machol, Hallelujah, Minimu Gam, Hallelujah, 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 B'tzitzle Shema, Hallelujah, B'tzitzle Trua, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol HaShamat Hallelujah, Kol HaShamat Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah,
Page 140.
Ishtabach.
140.
Yishtabach Shimcha Lord Malkeinu. Please join in the middle of the page. Our sovereign
God, source of holiness and greatness, may your name be praised forever in this world and beyond.
Eternal one, God of our mothers and our fathers,
your
strength, sanctity, glory,
and dominion
are deserving of song, praise, poetry, hymn, sacred chant, and blessings of thankfulness for all time and eternity.
Baruch atah Adonai, el melech hador v'tishbachot, el hodot Adon haniflot, tabocher b'shirei zimra, melech elchei haolamim.
Amen.
Please rise as you're able for Chatzi Kaddish, page 141.
Be'alma, divrach hirutei, par vit romam vit nase vit hadar vit ale vit halal shemei kuresha berihu lila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalema v'yiveru. Amen.
142.
Baruch et Adonai. Hamevorach.
Page 143. Illuminate the welders and shipyards with brilliance of their torches. Let the crane operator lift up his arm for joy. Let elevators creak and speak, ascending and descending in awe. Let the mercy of the flower's direction beckon in the eye. Let the straight flower bespeak its purpose and straightness to seek light. Let the crooked flower bespeak its purpose in crookedness to seek the light. Let the crookedness and straightness bespeak the light.
In the middle of the page, Or Chadashot Zion Ta'ir, V'nizkeh kulanu me'era le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot.
Page 147. At the bottom, we join together.
All life springs from a single fountainhead. Listen, Israel, know the oneness of the heart of multiplicity with love and reverence.
Bear witness to Mikor Chayim. We continue on the facing page, 146, 6 lines up from the bottom. Together, bring us in peace from the four corners of the earth.
Lead us with upright pride to the land that is ours. For you are a God of miracles and wonders.
From all the peoples of the earth you sought us out and brought us near to your great enduring truth. So with love we acknowledge and proclaim that you are one.
Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'mo Yisrael b'ahava.
Page 150.
Shema Yisrael
page 152.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. In the middle of page 152. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you to this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. On the next page, be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Please turn to page 162. 163, at the very top, and join me with this reading to usher in the words of Micha Mocha. Where does Israel get the courage, the chutzpah, to go on believing in redemption in a world that knows mass hunger, political exile, and war? How can Jews testify to hope and human value when they have been continuously persecuted, hated, expelled, destroyed? Out of the memories of the Exodus.
164.
Mi chamocha elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar hakodesh, norati osefene, shira chadasha, shibechu geolim leshimecha, אספת הים, יחד כולם, הודו וימלכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Please rise as you are able.
צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתח חינומך יהודה וישראל, קולנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. Baruch atah Adonai Ka'al Yisrael.
We continue to prepare for the Amidah, the central prayer of the service. On page 166 is this beautiful thought that maybe we can keep in mind as we begin with the Amidah. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav said, make every effort to pray from the heart. Even if you do not succeed, the effort is precious in the eyes of the Eternal One.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your
168.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Komel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Page 170. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדום מלך, מלך תמיד ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים. נאמרת להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Please be seated, everyone. We're going to turn to 174 to prepare for the Unatana Tokef. The Unatana Tokef is a prayer that people are drawn to, or they're really challenged by it. Some of us lost relatives between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. Some of us outlasted illness or challenge, and we find that maybe we feel we've been judged favorably. On January 23rd of this year, I was sitting with my mother in Minneapolis in her beautiful place that she moved to from her apartment. She was eating dinner, and in the middle of dinner, she got a phone call, and the phone call was from the oncologist. It was bad news. My mother was stunned. My mother thought that she had had a problem, and the problems were going to be fine. And she heard the extent of the problem. She hung up the phone. She looked at me and said, "Should I go upstairs and get drunk?" She's 92. I said, "Mom, you're 92. If you want to get drunk, get drunk." 10 days later, she went with my brother to the oncologist, who really told her that it was time to wrap up her affairs. My mother said, "Are you crazy? I've written 2 mystery books in my 80s. I got the 3rd one right here in my head. I'm writing another. I got to see my grandkids, my great-grandkids." She had 3. But the third one is in Minneapolis. And so they gave her a modified regimen that was going to give her a bit of hope. It was clear that that hope was not to be fulfilled. And the Unatana Tokef came to my heart, that my mother would not live for another Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashana. 2 days before my mother died, I was with her, my whole family was, and she was watching Turner Classic Movies. It was Howard Keel Day, and there she was singing her lungs out, that like I hadn't heard her sing in 10 years, to 7 Brides for 7 Brothers and Kiss Me Kate. She sang her life and was gone 2 days later. The Unatana Tokef reminds us that every bit of our lives is precious and not taken for granted. There's a hope and a blessing, and that our lives are in the balance. Unatana Tokef. Look at 176. And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah! A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold, Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. For they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. We read together. All who come into the world. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgment. Page 178.
Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatevu Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatevu Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatemun kama yavrun v'chama yibareun Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatemun Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatemun Mi yehye u'mi yamut mi v'kitzo u'mi lo v'kitzo Mi va'esh u'mi va'mayim, mi va'cherev u'mi va'chaya, mi va'rav u'mi va'tzama. Berosh Hashana yikatevu, uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatevu. Rosh Hashana yikatevu uvyom Tzom Kippur yechatevu Mi רעש וממגפה, וממגפה, מרעש וממגפה, מחניקה ומסקילה, בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. מי ינוח ומי ינוע, מי ישקיט ומי יטורף, מי ישלב ומי יתייסר, מי עני ומי עשיר, מי יושפל ומי ערום. בראש השנה ייכתבון,
וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. Look on 180 at the top. There's this marvelous phrase, and the subtlety is often lost, because we think if we do all the right things, the decree will be set aside. But read with me where it says, but through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. Maybe not the decree itself, but maybe it'll just be a little less harsh than it would have been. We're on page 184. I'm going to we're going to sing Utshuva. Now turn to 184. As you are able, please rise for the Kedusha, the sanctification of God's name.
Nekadesh, 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 et Shimcha olam, Nekadesh, et Shimcha olam, Kishem shemakdishim oto, Bishmei marom, Kakatu al yaminecha, V'karazel ze ve'amar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivah.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיד גוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתו נקדיש. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך הדור תקדוש אתה.
לדור ודור, לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיד גוד לך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש.
Please find your seats and turn to page 187. Beautiful. Thank you. Last night I looked at the stars, the baby in my arms. And as I looked at the stars wheeling the planet round, I knew I could not rest. I felt as one addressed. It brought me close to prayer that such a thing could be. You know, we think of prayer as that which must be said. What had I to say last night to the stars? Abstract light. Turn all the way ahead to page 192. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation, upon Mount Zion, the home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, the city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, Adonai will reign eternally, your God, O Zion, for all generations. Hallelujah.
קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, והנה לעמים פלדיך. ככתוב ויגבר אדוני צבאות במשפט, והאל הקדוש נקדש בצדקה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Amen. Please turn to 195 toward the bottom of the page. We'll read the poem together. This people's true history is a history of encounters with God. It has this history for its own sake and for the sake of humanity. It bears it and is born by it. Every people is a question which addresses God's humanity, and every people from its own place with its special talents and possibilities. And sake. We're at the bottom of page 196, the blessing Zochreinu with the threefold Amen.
זכרנו אדוני אלוהינו בו לטובה.
אמן.
ופקדנו בו לברכה.
אמן.
והושיענו בו לחיים.
Amen. Eternal our God, remember us.
Amen.
Be mindful of us.
Amen.
And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing.
Amen.
Please turn all the way ahead to page 200. We read responsively, we are stiff-necked and stubborn. Teach us to bend before you. Convinced we're self-sufficient, entrenched in the illusion of control, we resist your call to humility. Today you summon us out of our arrogance, out of rigidity, fantasy, shallowness, self-deception. Teach us to make you, Melech, sovereign in our life, to align ourselves with your goodness and truth. We would not bow before Pharaoh. We would not bow before the Persian Lord. We would not submit to any power on earth or give ourselves to any material thing. But we, the Jewish people, stiff-necked, stubborn to the end, today
We bow before you.
we rise as you are able for the great Aleinu. It's customary to bow lower than one might during a regular service. Some actually go to the ground. Please use the aisle.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, שלא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. משתחווים ומודים. לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
Please remain standing as we prepare for the first set of shofar calls. If there is anyone here who has brought a shofar, we're going to ask you to come up to the pulpit now. I have 2 extras up here if you forgot yours at home.
Page 205. Ribono shel olam, power of all, have compassion on the souls of Israel. Open their hearts to do tshuva before you. Open their souls for the sake of returning to you. Page 206, the blessing. For hearing the sound of the shofar, we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'ashmoa kol shofar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
תקיעה, shvarim teruah, tekiah, tekiah, shvarim, tekiah, tekiah, teruah, tekiah.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, ארע נישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, ארע נישא. מבין ומזין מביט ומקשיב הכל הכל תקייתנו, ותביא ברחמים ורחמים וברצון, שדה מחויותינו.
Please find your seats. On page 208, we will read in English the sanctification of the day, omitting the blue parts for Shabbat. God who is ours, or 208, we'll get there, come on. God who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through the mitzvot,
And
may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are a faithful God whose truth stands forever.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech hakol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech hakol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech hakol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. B'yom hazikaron.
Amen.
On the facing page, we join together. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit upon us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato letzion.
Amen.
Page 212.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yiparach v'yitromam, yiparach v'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed.
Ve'al kulam,
ve'al kulam, yitbarach v'yitromam, yitbarach v'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed. B'chol ha'chayim yaduch ha'sela, uktav l'chayim tovim ko b'nei britecha, v'hallelu et shimcha b'yemet, ha'el Yeshuateinu ve'ezratenu, ezratenu, Selah. Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, atov shimcha, ulecha na'eh, na'eh le'odot.
On 214, you'll find in the lower part of the English or the lower part of the Hebrew, the Birkat Kohanim, blessing. The Hebrew word for blessing, bracha, has many connections. A brecha, the same root, is an ever-flowing spring. It's always being renewed. It's always being revitalized. The word berach in Hebrew means knee. I don't have to explain the connection between knees and blessings. People, when I ask them when was the last time they were blessed, they say their bat mitzvah, 30, 40 years ago. They say their wedding, 5 years ago. They say a blessing was given when they were sick in the hospital. And I truly believe that you have a right to be blessed virtually every day. Certainly you have a right to be blessed as you enter into this new year. And I ask you to listen to the chant of the cantor as she blesses you. And we respond, Ken Yehi Ratzon, May this be God's will.
Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Baruchenu b'bracham shuleshet, haktuva b'Torah v'emora mipי הכהנים, המקדשך כאמור. יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
Ein Yehi Ratzon.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
Ein Yehi Ratzon.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
Ein Yehi Ratzon. May you know God's blessings of shelter and care.
Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
Did you want that blessing? Okay, let's try it again.
May you know God's blessing of shelter and care.
May it be so.
May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace.
May it be so.
May you see God's favor and goodness, and may you partake of God's peace.
May it be so. Continue on page 216. We join together in a prayer for peace. Let there be peace. Grant goodness, blessing, and grace, constancy and compassion to us and all Israel, your people. Avinu, bless and unite all human beings in the light of your presence, for your light has shown us a holy path for living, devotion to love, generosity, blessedness, mercy, life, and peace. In your goodness, bless your people Israel with peace at all times. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה, ניזכר ונקדם לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל, לחיים טובים, לחיים טובים, ולשלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Amen. You know something? What did the great Rabbi Shakespeare say? Words, words, words. If you want, there are more words in the next several pages to read as you reflect upon your life on Rosh Hashana. I like to encourage people to read the words that are inscribed here in the chambers of the heart. Please take a moment and not necessarily be caught up in someone else's words, but maybe your innermost feelings and thoughts and hopes.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Oseh shalom bimrama
I'll ask you to rise as you're able as we open the Ark for Avinu Malkeinu on page 223. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, that's for you also. Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed in sin. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olaleinu V'Tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu Kalei Dever V'Cherev V'Ra'av Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness. Avinu Malkeinu Kalei Kol Tsar U'Mastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
The Hebrew and the English together. Avinu Malkeinu Chonenu V'Yanenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim Asay Manu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, answer us with grace. Where our deeds are wanting, save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu V'Aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu V'Aneinu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim. Asei Banu, Tzedakah v'Chesed. Asei Banu, Tzedakah v'Chesed, Le'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu Haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu Haneinu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim.
We remain standing as we turn to 227 for the Seder Kriyat Torah, the service of reading from the Torah. If you are reading Torah today, if you are in the choir, follow Mitchell. If you are carrying a Torah in the Hakafah like Shoshana, come on up now. And Casey, come on up now. And I had two others. I had two guys. I had David and who else? Oh, there we go. 2 and 2. We're waiting for the choir to position themselves. Please, friend.
And we ask all our Torah readers to please come forward, take a seat on our bima.
And as soon as the ark is closed, you may sit. There we go. It's on the wrist. First sit.
Take a seat.
Who's first? Go. The Torah portion for our synagogue has always been the binding of Isaac. The binding of Isaac can be found in your book on page 240. We're trying something new this year. We're not going to translate because, as my incredible staff and teachers and partners, Kenna Berman and Rabbi Gorban, inform me that you can read. And since the words are right in front of you, maybe I don't have to say them in my mellifluous voice. So the reading, both Hebrew and the English, is on page 240. And we're going to have 5 aliyot. The first aliyah, we got a slide? Boy, we are entering the 20th, not the 21st, 20th century. Anybody who's had a challenge this year? Anybody who's had something that they've dealt with? Come on up. Come on up. We want to celebrate the fact that you are still here, that you're standing, that you are not defeated by whatever has gone on in your life. And we want you to be recognized and know that you are not alone, and that you are worthy not only of the aliyah, you are worthy of blessing. So where are our things? Are right here. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. Come at this side. Oh my God, come on up. And you're tall, you're going to hold one of these, just so you know. I'm going to put you to work. Hadley, you be tall over there, okay? All right. Okay, just touch it. There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher Baruch Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi achar hadvarim ha'eleh v'ha'Elohim nisa et Avraham vayomer elav Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer kachna et bincha et yihidecha asher ahavta et ischa v'lech lecha El Eretz HaMoriah, v'halehu sham le'olah, al achar heharim, asher omar elecha, vayishkem Avraham baboker, vaychavosh et hamaro, vayikach et shnei ne'arav ito, ve'e Yitzhak beno, vayivaka atze olah, Vayakom vayelech el hamakom asher amar lo ha'Elohim.
Yashakal.
Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher natan lanu Torah temet. V'chai olam natan v'torcheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. King David wrote in his anguish, Mimami Kim Kiraticha, out of the depths I have called to you. And every one of you here in your own moment of challenge and sadness has called out. It's our hope that you do not feel that you called out in vain, or that you called out being alone. And know that there are people here who love you and care about you and want to help you in the steps that you have to take to move forward out of that pit of despair. And know that it will not always be darkness. Know that there is a light above and a light ahead. And it's our hope for you, our prayer, that we accompany you as you find that light. As together we say, Amen. Say Yeshkoach. All right, you always have to stay up because it might be there are multiples here, right? So anybody who's had a celebration, a milestone, or success, last service I said, anybody who had a birthday, oh, no, you all have birthdays. And so, milestone birthday, success, a new job, you moved to the city and you found that Pittsburgh is the greatest city in the world, whatever it is, whatever you want to celebrate, maybe you've done something wonderful for somebody or somebody's done something wonderful for you. Thank you for holding the Torah there. Come on, Annalise.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, did you get married or something over there? Did you get married? Look at all these happy people. Guys, you can come up into this space too. Come on. How tall are those heels, girl? Look at that. Oh my gosh. Which is harder? Guys who strangle themselves 7 days a week, do you walk in a, I think you have it harder. All right, everybody. They're going to blow you away. Here we go. Hold that up, gang. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vahed. Amen.
Amen. Bayom hashlishi.
We're on verse 4, on the third day.
Vayisa Avraham et einav v'yaret hamakom merahok. Vayomer Avraham el na'arav shevu lechem po im hahamor va'ani v'hanar melaha ad kol. ונשחרר ונשובה עליהם. ויקח אברהם את עצי העולה, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אבי, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני. ויאמר הנה האיש והעצים ויחסה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו הסה לעולה בני וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
1, 2, 3. Yeshua Koach. That was great Torah reading. Well, they're headed up the mountain. You'll have to read on ahead to see what happens here. 1. You got a card? There you go. Hold it up. There you go. Taller than you think. 1, 2, 3. Bar. Your thank you notes done? Amen. That same psalmist said, Pitzchirini, I burst out in joy. I burst out in rejoicing and happiness. May the happiness that I see on your faces right now be stored up for you, for the day when things will not be so bright, for the day when things are going to be more challenging, and you remember that you are capable of this kind of joy, capable of this kind of happiness that you share not only with your family, but with everyone here. Every one of you, you have your happiness literally bursting out of you and spilling onto the people next to you, because all of you are unique blessings in and of yourselves, and together you make a blessing that could never even be counted. As together we say, Amen. Say Yeshua Koach. Okay, again, listen up. Anybody who volunteers here, anybody who volunteers at Temple Sinai, we want, and by the way, we give you previews of what's coming next, just so you know. That's how 20th century we are. Annalise, you're really good. Really good. I taught you how to shake a hand. all our volunteers. Van Wecht is a volunteer. Come on, Barbara. Here we go.
Yep.
Was anybody here last night? So I talked a little bit about the fact, not in the sermon, but I mentioned that I did my student days in Oklahoma. I get home, and I don't usually look at email on the holiday, but this is like, it said, I'm from Oklahoma, and I just live streamed the service. Yay! It was just so wonderful to make that connection over the live stream. All right, guys, ready? Here you go. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Marach Leolam Vahed. Amen. You nifty paws.
Amen. V'yavo el hamakom asher amar lo Elohim vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach vayaroch et ha'etzim vayakod et Yitzchak beno vayasem oto al hamizbeach mima'al ha'etzim וישלח אברהם את ידו, ויקח את המאכלת לשחוט את בנו. ויקרא אליו מלאך אדוני מן השמיים, ויאמר אברהם, אברהם, ויאמר הנני, ויאמר אל תשלח ידך אל הנער, ואל תעש לו מהומה, כי אתה ידעתי, כי ירא אלוהים אתה, ולא חסכת את בנך את יחידך ממני. וישא אברהם את עיניו, וירא והנה איל אחר, נאחז בסבך בקרניו, וילך אברהם ויקח את האיל, ויעלהו לעולה תחת בנו, ויקרא אברהם, שם המקום ההוא אדוני יראה, אשר ימור היום בהר אדוני יראה.
Yeshua, beautiful. Thank you, Rick. He's a past president. He's tall. Baruch. Amen. It says in our scripture that we shall have faith in our banaich. Banaich means your children. The sages purposely changed the same word to bonaich, your builders. Every single one of you is a builder, because every one of you who has been here and giving your heart to this incredible community understands that this community is not this room, not this building, not the bricks, not the stone. It is your living, beating hearts. We live by dint of your hearts. Thank you for all the gifts that you give of hand and head and heart. Thank you for being builders of sacred community in an age that tears it down. Thank you for making this community strong, viable, livable, and lovable. As together we say, Amen. When I came here 32 years ago, this was the only synagogue where somebody could have an interfaith wedding. We celebrate our interfaith families. Anybody who is from an interfaith family, please come up so we can celebrate you here and now. So while they're coming up and other people are going down, please know that the crucial part was what Mitchell highlighted in his incredible reading. Avraham, Avraham. The angel calls out, so he does not slay his son. And the time has passed for that, and a ram will be offered up instead. And the place where this has happened is called Adonai Yireh. God will have vision, because the vision to see forward is on that mountain. All right, Rick, you going to be tall again? There you go. There's room in the middle here. There's room right. Come on, get close, get close, get close. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed. Amen.
Amen. Vayikra Malach Adonai El Avraham Shenit Min Hashamayim Vayomer Vinishmati Nu Adonai Ki Yan Asher Asita Et Hadavar Hazeh V'lo Hasachta Et Bincha Et Yehidecha Ki varech avarechecha, v'harba arbe et zaracha, k'chilchavei hashamayim, v'chachol asher al safat hayam, v'yirash zaracha et sha'ar oyevav, v'hid barachu, v'zaracha kol goyei ha'aretz, ekev Asher samata bekolim. Vayashov Avraham el na'arav. Vayakumu. Vaylechu yachdav el be'er shava. Vayashav Avraham be'er shava.
Sheyesh Shekach. Don't we have marvelous students here and masters of Torah? Not every congregation does, and we're so delighted to hear them share their heart, their passion, their skill for Torah. And the story just kept going on. So they got down from the mountain. Avram goes on his way, and we'll learn more about Isaac in the coming weeks in the Torah. Let's have a blessing afterwards. Baruch atah Adonai. Amen. In the early part of Isaiah, he declares, my house shall be a house of prayer for all peoples. And we take that seriously here. And you've certainly trusted us to honor and respect you, to know that there is a place for you and a role for all of you to play. You have made this a house of prayer for all peoples, and we are richer for your commitment and for your faith in us. We hope to keep repaying it to you throughout the years to come. As together we say, Amen. Now, this next one, if you've been a member here more than 20 years, we want you to come up. If you are having difficulty, please line up here. There is a ramp over there, but we want to make sure that everybody who can take part. Harold Marcus is back from Philadelphia. He's not rooting for the Eagles, I promise you. Of course you can. When was the last time you had 3 aliyot? When was the last time you had 3 aliyot?
4.
Batting 5 for 5. You can be on the Pirates. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Look at you guys. You do not have to come up if the steps are a challenge. You know, I think we're going to have to do it from down here. Where's the other card? Rick, I want you to do it from down there and hold it up really, really high. Stay here. Stay here. So Simon says take 3 steps back. 1, 2, 3. Come on up. You can lean against this wall here. You can lean. David. Oh, yeah. You're my son. Andy, come on up. Saul, you're gonna have to like almost step back into the aisle. There's nobody there. Hello, Ross says. Hi, guys. Hi. Now, they're going to be loud, but you have to answer them as a community and be louder. I know, and this is so wonderful because not one of you can read the print. It's so small. So you're going to have to go from your memory, from your bar, bat mitzvah, or whatever. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Hu. Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed. Amen.
Amen. Vayehi acharei advarim ha'ele v'yugad l'Avraham lemor hine yalda milka gam hi banim l'nachor achicha et utz b'choro v'et buz achiv ואת כמואל אבי ארם, ואת כסד ואת חזור, ואת פילדש ואת ידלף, ואת בתואל. ובתואל ילד את רבקה, 8 ילדה מלכה, לנחור אחי אברהם. ופילגשו ושמה ראומה, ותלד גם היא את טבח ואת גחם ואת תחש ואת
makam. So after Avram goes back to his home in Beersheba, the rest of the family tree is given so we know of the birth of Rebekah, who will marry Abraham's son Isaac in just a few weeks. And since you're coming to shul every week from now on, because I know you're all dedicated in Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur to live completely Shabbos observant lives, we know that you'll be here for the... Anyway, hush up, Jamie. Okay, hold those useless things up again. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Baruch. Amen. Most congregations, when they write their names in Hebrew, write Kuf, Chak, Kuf. Kuf, Chak, Kuf means Kihila Kadosha, a holy community. People ask, what makes a community holy? It is not the Ner Tamid above your heads. Partly because of the Sefer Torah that's been read from, but the fact that you grasp Torah and bring it out into the world every single day. And you've taken the values of a liberal Judaism, which connects to our past but is not afraid of a future. And your sight and your vision have helped build this place into a beacon of light in a dark time. There is more than 1,000 years of membership standing right here. 1,000 years of faith and love and hope. We depend on you. And we thank you for the community you have created. As together we all say, Amen. How about the loudest Yesher Koach ever? 1, 2, 3. Now, the choir's going to go back to where the choir goes, all the people who volunteer in the choir, and they're going to sing a Mishaberach of healing by a wonderful cantor named Lisa Levine. And we're just going to make sure that everybody gets down safely, and that Shirley gets back to her seat safely, and that everybody gets, Andy, you go back safely. And hi. Thank you. What is Ethan going to do? He is. Has he done it before? Okay. On this Torah? Good. Good. Thank you for helping each other. Mark, thank you. We'll spot him. We'll spot him. The version of Mishaberach that is going to be sung is on 245. Okay. Sit over here for now. Do you have a watch? Righty or lefty? Most of these on the left.
ישברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. ישברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. And bless us as well. Bless us
As well.
Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. ישברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. ישברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. And bless us as well. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer. And bless us as well.
Continuing with our youth movement here, Ethan's going to be lifting the Torah. Hadley's going to help tie it. And as you are able, please rise for the lifting of Torah. 1, 2, 3.
Zot HaTorah asher שם משה לבני בני
Israel
ישראל
al pi Adonai biyad Moshe.
Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah,
Who's gonna hold
Torah,
the Torah?
Torah, tziva lanu
Really tight.
Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe.
Not yet.
Torah, tziva lanu Moshe.
Torah. So
tziva
David's going to
lanu
hold it.
Moshe.
Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
Torah, tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah,
It always goes in the
Torah,
Genesis song.
tziva lanu Moshe.
David, you sit over there.
Torah, 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 Torah,
Torah
tziva
tziva
lanu
lanu Moshe. Find your seats. Thank you.
We're going to continue with the Haftarah, which is on page 247.
Invite Molly up for the bracha before the Haftarah. is an old joke about an atheist who goes to the synagogue every Shabbat and sits next to his friend Ginsburg. One day, someone asks him why he keeps coming to services if he doesn't believe in God. He replies, Ginsburg goes to synagogue to talk to God. I go to synagogue to talk to Ginsburg. Well, Molly just chanted so expertly. Baruch atah Adonai. Praiseworthy are you, God, Asher bachar bin bi'im tovim, who chose good or faithful prophets. Interesting that today, on all days, on this high holy day of Rosh Hashana, the Haftarah that we read is not about a prophet. It's about an ordinary woman. Her name was Hannah. Her husband Elkanah had 2 wives, Peninnah, with whom he had several children, and Hannah, with whom he had no children. The Haftarah tells us that Hannah was not able to have children. This didn't seem to matter at all to Elkanah. He loved Hannah just as she was. He couldn't understand why Hannah was so unhappy not having a child. But she was unhappy. And when their family went to the temple, she would only cry and cry and cry. But one year it was different. Hannah was still very sad, but this time when the family went to the temple, Hannah arose, and through her tears, she began to pray to God. The Haftarah says that she poured out her soul to God. She brought all of her feelings, her tears, her sobbing, her utter despair, her deepest desire to God. Now, when you really, really want something, how do you ask? Do you say, please? Do you say, I love you so much, honey, can you please put the cap back on the toothpaste? Do you offer promises, maybe in the order of if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours? Well, Hannah did something like that, but she didn't ask God for something that can be bought. We ask God for things like strength, understanding, patience, compassion, healing. Hannah asked God and promised a vow, a solemn, sacred promise to God, if it would happen, if God would help her to have a child. Well, Eli the Kohen sat nearby and watched Hannah as she prayed. He wondered if Hannah was okay since he saw that her lips moved, but her voice could not be heard. Hannah was okay. She was taking her sadness and her very private prayer to God. That's what we do in our tradition. If we want to share our private prayers with anyone, that's fine. But we all can talk to God directly. At Rosh Hashana, we remind ourselves, and maybe we remind God too, that each one of us has sincere prayers, that each one of us wants to be remembered by God and have our prayers remembered by God. We may offer God our gratitude, our confusion, our disappointments. We may offer it here at Temple Sinai or anywhere. We can offer the prayers without sound as Hannah did, or we can sing them loudly, right? That's good too. We can use words that have been collected from centuries of Jewish prayer. We can let our prayers come out through a musical instrument or paint them on a canvas or write them as a poem. On Yom Kippur this year, we'll hear from one of our teens who did just such a thing. However, we bring what's in our hearts to God. What matters is that we express it as Hannah did, with heartfelt sincerity. The Haftarah doesn't tell us anything about how God listened, or even about God's reaction. We only learn that Eli the Kohen didn't understand at first what Hannah was doing. He was so moved by the feeling, the intensity of Hannah's prayer, that ultimately he said to her, "May God grant you what you have asked." Or maybe he said, "God will grant what you have asked." We can read the Hebrew both ways. Either way, Hannah felt better. Did she feel relieved that she had expressed her emotions? Did she feel that God heard her prayer? The Haftarah doesn't say exactly, but it does say that her face, which had been so sad, was no longer as it had been. Soon we learned that Hannah indeed had a child. She got what she prayed for, the gift of a new life to nurture. And isn't that what we all come today to celebrate and to pray for? Life. Life's renewal. That theme of renewal is reflected on Rosh Hashana by the renewed moon in the night sky that will grow larger and rounder in the next 2 weeks until we reach the bounty of Sukkot. It is echoed by the words of Hayom Harat Olam that are special to today's liturgy. Today is the first moment of eternity. I think that every time Hannah looked at her child, she remembered God and how God remembered her with the promise of new life. And she saw that spark of God in the eyes of her child, the spark of limitless potential. The next time we find Hannah at the temple, she was in very different spirits and offering words of celebration and gratitude. Alatz libi l'Adonai, my heart exalts in God, she says. Again, she brings to God her deepest emotions. She is remembering this new life that she has been given, and she expresses her deepest appreciation. On this day of Rosh Hashana, when we bring our prayers to God, okay, maybe some of us bring them to Ginsburg too. But when we bring with us our prayers for the world, for the community, for our families, and our very own private prayers that perhaps no one else but God can understand, may we be answered with renewed hope that the future, like a child, holds the wonder of potential. May God remember us all, knowing that in God's eyes we all are as noteworthy and as worth listening to as Hannah. And may God renew us, and may God grant us all the promise for our individual and collective future. Please turn to page 259 as Molly chants the bracha following the Haftarah.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sor kol haolamim, sadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al hanvi'im, ve'al yom hazikaron hazeh, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לכבוד ותפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותה. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וים לעד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ביום הזיכרון.
Amen. Oh, terrific. We're going to turn in our prayer books to the continuing of the two other sections of of shofar blowing. If you look in the middle of page 267, if Jamie could come back up, anybody else who has a shofar, I have 2 extras just waiting for people to blow with me. So page 267 in the middle of the page.
כי זוכר כל הנשכחות אתה הוא מעולם, ואין שכחה לפני כיסא כבודך, ברוך אתה אדוני זוכר הברית.
I'll wait for Jamie and I'll...
Amen.
As you are able, please rise for the blowing of the shofar.
We're on 268. Tekiah, Shvarim Teruah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah. We continue on page 282. Actually, 284. Come on, you guys aren't going to care about that one page, are you? Okay, Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol teruat amo Yisrael berachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people Israel. Tekiah, shvarim teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah.
Got it. Arash Sifatenu Yarav Lefanecha El Radisa. Arash Sifatenu Yarav Lefanecha El Radisa. Levinu Matim Avinu Makshim Kol Tkiyatenu. Ukavir Rachamim Rachamim Uvratza Seder Shafrotenu.
With the prayers for returning the Torah to the Ark there on page 276. Yahalalu et Shem Adonai ki nisgav shemo levado. All praise God's name, for God's name alone is truly sublime. For a good heritage have I given to you, do not forsake it. Gotta love all those young people. Pretty incredible who they are, what they give. Abraham tossed and turned on his mat, his blanket covered with sweat. Sleep would not come. He couldn't breathe. He ached all over. Pain was now his constant companion. He wondered why he was still living. He knew that death would come soon, but to his mind, not soon enough. Despite all of his pains, his nervous sweat was caused by something else, guilt. He felt tremendous guilt even as death hovered over him. You would think that a patriarch like Abraham would not be plagued like this. After all, he was the first in history to answer the call of the one God. But it wasn't God who gnawed him this night. No, it was knowing he had failed as a father. Whose fault it was didn't matter. Sarah had made him throw out his firstborn Ishmael along with Ishmael's mother Hagar. He himself had put a knife to the neck of his second son Isaac at God's direct command. And when she had heard about what he had done to her only son, Sarah had collapsed and died on the spot, at least according to the rabbis. At least Sarah had been old. It made him ache from inside out to think about his sons. Now, if talking counts for anything, the Torah shows that Abraham and his sons were not particularly close. Abraham and Ishmael never exchange even one word before he's banished, and he only ever says 8 words in total to Isaac. And that was to put him at ease so he could offer him up as a sacrifice. And if Abraham is unhappy about his son, well, we're not thrilled with Abraham. The Midrash teaches that even Abraham knows he's not a great father. Rabbi Ben Tema teaches that more than all the misfortunes which overtook Abraham, this matter of exiling Ishmael was exceedingly evil in his eyes. As it is said, and the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. And we can only nod in agreement. These stories break our minds and shatter our hearts. They demand that we search for a reason that makes sense, especially the binding of Isaac. And what could that be? Was the binding of Isaac's story an attack on child sacrifice? Well, my dear teacher, Chanan Brichto, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be a blessing, utterly rejected this. No, he argued that as our first spiritual hero, Abraham was asked to offer up to God his ultimate value, what he valued most in his life. And that was his son Isaac, and God, in the end, rejects the offer. But we, Brichto claimed, offer our children to gods far less worthy. And we don't even have to be commanded. We offer our children willingly to the gods of sports, academics, entertainment, and more. Take Kate. Kate was a bright girl. She never missed school, even for a cold, never got below an A in any subject. And if she was weak in math, she got tutors because she wanted to excel. And her parents were delighted to find that Kate was so motivated. They encouraged her to go on to whatever height she could attain. They lined up other tutors for her. By 10th grade, they thought that she was a lock for a scholarship. So they sent her to a summer program at Yale to prepare for the kind of academic atmosphere and competition she'd face. But when she came back, Kate was angry and depressed. What happened, her mom asked. Why are you acting like this? We sent you to Yale to help you, not to hurt you. Were the other kids mean? And she shook her head. No, they were very nice. I just don't want to do this anymore. And dreams of a scholarship evaporated in her mother's head. But you've come so far, Kate. You're such a great student. Everyone in school looks up to you. That's why we've pushed you so hard. If you didn't want this, you could have told us. And Kate said angrily, no, I couldn't. You would have looked at me with pity and told me it was okay when all the time I'd seen in your eyes how disappointed you were. And that would have been intolerable. So I kept pushing myself the way I know you wanted me to. Her father interrupted. Kate, all we've ever wanted for you is to be happy. And she glared at him. No, you would never have been satisfied with my happiness. You always said you wanted the best for me, the best for their best little girl, you always said. I knew better than to push back against that. And Kate's parents stood there crestfallen. They realized that Kate was right. They had kept setting the bar higher and higher and expecting Kate to jump without any complaint. And it dawned on them that they had been willing to sacrifice their own daughter to the god of their ambitions. But thankfully, Kate had jumped off the altar before the sacrifice could be completed. Many of us are a bit crazed when it comes to our children. We certainly want the best for them, but that best can be a treacherous and false god. What are we willing to do to serve the God of the best? Lie? Cheat? Steal? The news this year has been filled with parents who would break almost any rule, pay almost any price to get their teen into a prestigious university. Is this unholy drive really about the welfare of our teens? Or is it the idolatry of the parents, their devotion to the damned goddess of success and keeping up with neighbors? And it is bad enough that we offer our own children to our own false gods. But this past year and a half, we have watched what our government has done to other people's children at our borders, and it shatters my heart. You and I have seen the pictures. We can't get them out of our minds. Listen to their voices. A 5-year-old boy says, "I was apprehended with my father, and the immigration agent separated us right away. I was frightened and scared. I cried, and I've not seen my father again." An 11-year-old boy says, "There are little kids here who have no one to take care of them, not even a big brother or sister. Some kids are only 2 or 3 and have no one to take care of them." A 12-year-old girl says, "At 3 a.m. the next day, the officers told us our grandmother would be taken away. My grandmother tried to show them a paper signed by my parents saying that my grandmother had been entrusted the care of us. The officers rejected the paperwork, saying that it had to be signed by a judge. And then the officers took my grandmother away. We have not seen her since that moment." According to Newsweek, Justice Department lawyer Sarah Fabian tried to argue that it was not technically a requirement for the government to provide migrant children with sanitary items like soap and toothbrushes, or even access to showers and blankets. Most of these families are running away from murder, rape, and violence. And when they get here, we tear children from parents and put them in detention facilities. We put children in court proceedings, children as young as 3 years old, as if they're hardened criminals. We house them without adequate hygiene, space to sleep, or even room to move about safely. And contrary to the rhetoric we hear nationally, these families are seeking asylum here. They are not seeking to replace white people. They are coming because their choice at home is to join gangs, pay protection money, or be murdered wholesale. Where is our heart? Where is our Rahmanis, our compassion? Have we lost our collective memory? We fled to this country in the face of murder, rape, and violence in the form of pogroms. And we were grateful to gain admission here in the hope that we might make a better life. So many of us did just that. Our great-grandparents didn't know English. They spoke Yiddish, Polish, Russian, Lithuanian, Ukrainian. They were not wealthy Jews who could buy their way into this country through special visa programs. They were not the country's finest, the cream of the crop. They were desperately poor, and they worked in menial jobs to get a foothold to feed their families. They sewed until their fingers bled. They rolled cigars. They worked in factories. They sold buttons from push carts. And they didn't ask for comfort or ease. All they wanted was safety and a path forward. It was what we once called the American dream. That is what the families at our borders want as well. A chance, nothing more. The children being held in detention centers at our borders are being sacrificed to the god of fear. Fear of brown people, fear of political shifts, fear of economic competition, fear born of prejudice, and yes, racism. Our Torah is crystal clear on this. 36 times it declares, "You shall not oppress the stranger, for you know the heart of the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." 36 times. We're only told not to eat bacon twice. I'm not saying we need to open our borders to everyone. We have a right as a country to establish policies and procedures for legal entry. The problem is that path to legal entry is now taking well more than a decade, sometimes more than 15 to 20 years. We must remember that we are part of an international community that recognizes the right of people to flee for their lives. This right is protected under the UN Convention and Protocol relating to the status of refugees, which we signed in 1967. To quote my teacher, Rabbi Dr. Mark Wachowski, that convention guarantees a number of rights to refugees. Among them are the right not to be punished for illegal entry into a contracting state, the right not to be expelled except under certain strictly defined conditions, the right to housing, education, and public relief. Now, look, I know some of you here today are thinking, Rabbi, there are so many problems we face as Jews. Violent anti-Semitism, dwindling membership in congregations, the threat to Israel from Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah. You're talking about people who don't look like us, who don't speak like us, who practice a different religion. Why you bring this unpleasantness into our High Holy Day services? And I would answer that you're right. Every one of the problems I just mentioned is worthy of our attention on Rosh Hashana, but I cannot stop my ears to the cries of those children. I cannot close my eyes to their anguished faces, and I cannot stand by as these children are offered to the gods of intolerance, bigotry, and fear. I truly believe that America is the greatest home we Jews have ever had outside of our own land. I grew up singing America the Beautiful and crying when we got to the words, "Thine alabaster city gleamed undimmed by human tears, except mine." I love this country because of the promise it has held for our people and so many others. And I refuse to sacrifice other people's children who are as desperate as my own family was when they arrived on these shores in the early 1900s. I believe with all of my heart that we can work on our own issues as Jews and still welcome others. I believe Judaism demands of us no less, for we are no mere interest group. We are a community of eternal faith and values. Our faith, and a hard-won place in our country, requires to care for those who are today as unfortunate as we once were. Yes, we must protect our children's Jewish future, of course, but we are not permitted to ignore the cries of the children of strangers either. And the beautiful thing about our faith is we don't have to choose either or, us or them. There is a third way. Our sages teach that Abraham had a third child, only hinted at in the Torah, and believe it or not, a daughter. The Midrash teaches that the Torah states, and God blessed Abraham with everything. Bakol is the word. The sages disagree about what bakol, everything, means. One rabbi says the blessing is he didn't have a daughter, and Rabbi Yehuda says, of course, the blessing was that he had a daughter. Her name was Bakol. Bakol means everything. Abraham was blessed in everything because he not only had sons, but a daughter with his last wife, Keturah. This daughter's name, Bakol, is what makes Abraham's death peaceful despite his failures as a dad. The Torah declares that Abraham died in good, ripe old age, at peace. Blessed because he had a daughter who was a blessing. Blessed because at his death, his estranged sons, Isaac and Ishmael, reconciled to come to bury him. We aspire to this Bakol as well, to be blessed in everything. We can take care of our own children and seek justice for other children as well. And the path to this Bakol was written more than 100 years ago by our own American Jewish poet Emma Lazarus, who in 1883 famously wrote in her poem, The New Colossus, "Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp," cries she with silent lips. "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, not those who can support themselves. The homeless tempest tossed to me, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. No more will we sacrifice immigrant children to the god of fear. We seek their blessing instead for their children as well as ours. We seek the blessings of Abraham and all his children, Ishmael, Isaac, and his daughter Bakol, to make all of America's children, native-born, dreamers, immigrants, refugees, all safe and secure, Bakol, in everything, especially now those who suffer in detention camps. This year I will personally be working extensively with Hayas, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. They helped so many of our families settle in this country more than 100 years ago, and they helped pass on the blessing of the American dream as we fled for our lives from the Tsar and pogroms. I'll also be working with our local groups, Jewish Family and Community Services, Change Agency, and Casa San Jose, which assist in welcoming newcomers to our region. I will passionately oppose the slashing of the number of refugees announced this week to only 18,000 per year, when tens and tens of thousands more are in need of asylum and hope. And please let me know if you want to join me in this work. And if you disagree, come and talk with me. I'm always eager to expand my knowledge and learn from you without rancor. No more children being sacrificed to the false god of fear. No more children freezing on mats at the border. Rather, we cherish all of Abraham's children for the blessings they are. For we are all Abraham's children, aren't we? And if we are, shouldn't we make the descendants of Abraham bakol, blessed in everything? Aren't we all Abraham's children? Aren't we? May we bless our own children anew this year. May we find the courage to bless those children at our borders. May we lift our lamp beside the golden door for blessing for all. Bakol, blessing in everything. Bakol, blessing for everyone. Bakol, blessings in everything for us all. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank everybody who has come to make this a beautiful new year. I want to thank Musical Corner over there. I've got a question, don't answer it. Who wrote the music? Irving Berlin. Because we're running a little late, I'd like to simply have us proceed as we've done the Great Aleinu to Kaddish on 292. and then we'll dismiss you with Lashana Tova Tikateva V'Techatemu. There is a tashlich and picnic at 5 o'clock this afternoon in the Lower Frick Park, down beyond the tennis court, so we hope that you'll be able to come. Please rise with our mourners as you are able, as they say their Kaddish. Yid Gadal, Yid Kadash, Shmei Rabbah,
Amen.
V'yomad Yivrach Hirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayedechol Beit Yisrael, B'agalav Yizman Kari V'yamru,
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mavarach, Leolam Olamei Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, Yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shmei Kudsha,
Brichu.
Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yoma v'yimru,
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'yimru,
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'kol Yishvei tevel v'yimru,
Amen.
Be the source of peace in the high heavens, cause peace to descend on all of us, all Israel, upon a world that we know experiences such pain, that we might act on God's behalf to ease. And peace to all of us here today, as together we say,
Amen.
L'shana tova tikateva v'techatemu, may we be blessed with a happy, happy, happy New Year. Are we singing?
L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, she'ayva tevu, tikatevu. L'tova tikatevu, v'tikatevu.
Shana Tova.
See you Sunday.
So,